I believe a clergy person, a priest, must become a spiritual father to his community, a community defined either as a parish or a diocese. I know in my own experience, I've been here at this parish for 27 years, and I have the privilege of baptizing children I originally baptized. You become part of their families. You celebrate and mourn with them. You're with them in happy times and in sad times. You're there as their spiritual guide. I personally find that very rewarding. I think that's what I was called to do, and I'm thankful that I accepted God's invitation to become a priest.
The priest is a servant of God who, generally speaking, does many things and meets many people. But at the same time, it's very interesting that when we are looking at his life and trying to understand what his impact is in general as someone who is continuing the line of the apostles. So we understand that the priest now, these days, is not much different. At least his mission is not much different, and what he does is not much different. And he impacts everyone's lives, those he deals with on an everyday basis. So he's called as the representative of Christ to understand this and to be aware of this, that he is the presence of God. He carries God's word in him. He is called to be a loving person, and therefore what he does is going to impact people's lives.
I also think that clergy have a guardian role in the church. They will always answer your questions, and regardless of who you are and what your background is, they're always there to help you. It doesn't matter if you're in need or if you just need someone to talk to, they are always there for you. They are always there to answer any questions you have about life, about church, about anything that you need. They will never say no to you. They will always be there for you, even if they are busy, even if they are in the middle of something. They will always take time out of their day and will help you with whatever you need. And that is what I think that defines a clergyman.
Being a spiritual leader, as in showing that spark of spiritual enlightenment, like they want to learn about the Spirit and grow their spirit with them. Just like Jesus was an example for us, we have our priests and our clergymen all trying to be that example for us to show here as well.
His presence has to be a courageous one. It has to be a strong one, a prayerful one, so that what he does also impacts the lives of others. We also have to understand that all of us, whether we're priests or not, we are called to be this way. But the priest is picked. It's a special calling for that individual. It doesn't make him any different. What he does is different, and the impact that he's going to have on people's lives, that has to be different. It has to be one that is filled with peace and patience and love and kindness. It has to be the impact that Christ himself had on people's lives and those he served and healed and preached to.
Clergymen nowadays, especially Armenian clergymen nowadays, play an important and significant role in the communities and society's life. Clergymen are engaged in our daily lives, and they integrate with the community in making our society a better place than it was before. We grew up in Nor Marash, the district of Burj Hamud in Lebanon. Our apartments were a stone throw away from one another. I remember Sarpazan as being a vibrant, energetic, intelligent, and very active young kid. I was the quiet one. He was the noisemaker in the neighborhood. Our destiny was that in 2003, when he was elected primate of the Western Diocese of the Armenian Church of North America, we met again in 2003, and I started serving the church.
When I first met Sirpazan Hovnan Derderian, he had just been elected as primate of the Western Diocese, and he had made it a mission to visit all the churches as well as the mission churches. And at that time I was in the ladies' society of our parish, which was a mission parish. And the church was not available when he came to visit. So we changed the location to my home. Parish council members, ladies' society, and also members of the community all came to the house to meet him. I have to admit that it was a wonderful evening. But the highlight of the evening and the impression that he left on us was when my son, who had just returned from a scouting trip, and at the time he must have been around 15 or 16, came in and shook his hand and said, "Hello, how are you?" in respectful Armenian. And Sirpazan answered saying, "I am well, but let me ask you, how are you?" And that completely changed it, where we realized that Sirpazan was not a man who was self-centered, but he became a man interested in all the communities around him. The young, the middle-aged, the older, the parishioners, ladies' societies, and people from the community. We realized that he was going to be a great leader, a great shepherd for the Western Diocese, for our mission parishes, and for our parishes.
I think that Sirpazan is a very good clergyman. He's an ideal example of what a clergyman is supposed to do and be. He'll always be there for you. He will take time out of his busy schedule to help you as an archbishop. Me coming into the church 5 years ago, he has guided me through all of the obstacles I have faced and made me what I believe is my idea of an ideal Christian.
When I was a young man, a very shy young man who felt the calling to become a priest, and started serving at St. Peter Armenian Apostolic Church under the guidance of Father Snork Demirjian. Right when Archbishop Hovnan Derderian became the primate of the Western Diocese, I myself got a phone call from now Father Khajag, back then Deacon Mais, and he said that, you know, the primate wants to meet with you, wants to see you. And I can remember from those days, I became very much involved in the mission of our diocese and helped with whatever I could. And was around the primate many times, whether we traveled somewhere where the primate was going to celebrate the Divine Liturgy, or we visited a sick person. With that, he has encouraged me and to be a stronger person, to be more courageous, to not be afraid to serve, to not be afraid to put myself out there, and not to be afraid of the difficulties that I may see in my life as a clergyman. And I've come to the understanding that this is a very healthy thing in my life especially, and I'm sure perhaps in the lives of others, that we should not be afraid.
He leaves a powerful impact on anybody he meets. He comes across in truth as a man of genuine faith, who believes in not just the Lord, but he believes in those who serve with him and in the promise of life. And that is the most important impact that he seems to leave. When you walk out of the room, you have that confidence and that same faith that he carries and shares with us.
I believe that Archbishop Derderian understands in a very unique and exciting way Jesus' prayer at the Last Supper, recorded in the Gospel of John, chapter 17, where Jesus prays to his Father that all of his followers might be one, as he and the Father are one. Archbishop Derderian brings to the ecumenical movement in Los Angeles a dynamism, a power, an enthusiasm that we lacked here prior to his being with us. I personally have had the privilege of working with him on a number of ecumenical endeavors. I will never forget Archbishop Derderian's gracious acceptance, immediate acceptance of my suggestion that he host a meeting of the National Association of Ecumenists. And he leapt at that invitation, and we had such a wonderful gathering of ecumenists from all over Canada and the United States hosted there at your cathedral.
So Sirpazan's impact on the youth, as well as myself in my personal life, has been huge. It's been immense because he's truly been that spiritual leader for us throughout the years that I've been here, for the past 6 years, growing through ACYO, growing through just being a member of the church in general and attending all the meetings. He's not, as you know, he is the primate of the Western Diocese, but for us he's more of a friend, of a person that we can go to when we are in spiritual need or when we have spiritual questions that we need to resolve. He knows how, from his past experience from Canada as well as here, he knows exactly how to complete the problem in the most effective way and in the most sweetest way and in a humble way, and being a friend for us and a person that we could approach at any moment, any time. He shows us that leadership. He shows us that he is our spiritual leader.
At our church, we have multiple altar servers. And I really think that Sirpazan has impacted the lives of each and every one of them to make church a part of their lives, to make coming to church every Sunday a true commitment. And he is truly changing all of the deacons' lives, in that they become better Christians and they become better servants of God, and that they all go on to become priests, clergymen, and just overall better people in their own individual lives.
Sirpazan has instilled in our youth, in our community at large, the drive to get engaged in the church's life in a manner that has been outstanding. With his involvement, Hovnan Sirpazan has reinvented, let's put it this way, the church community service.
What makes for a good shepherd? He leads, he guides, he listens to others, he values others. And I believe that that is probably the most important attribute of Sirpazan Derderian. He has that quality that makes people feel at ease. He values them. There's a joke among our family that says the moment somebody walks into the room, Sirpazan sees the number 10 on their forehead. He rates them as 10. He does not expect anything less than a 10 from his community, his flock. So we are all number 10 in front of him, in his eyes, and he values us, and that is the most important thing. It is no longer about him, it is about the flock, it is about the other person.
We know that the impact that our beloved Sirpazan had on so many people and so many communities throughout the 35 years of his shepherding will last for many more years to come. Happy anniversary, Sirpazan.